My name is Houben and I'm managing the operational side of Bergstein Digital. And today I would like to speak to you about our part of the business in inkjet printing, which is direct-to-object or direct-to-shape printing, in single-pass printing, and especially for high-volume applications. For those of you who don't know us yet, just a quick introduction. We are located in the Netherlands and we are already active in the digital printing industry since 2002. We exist much longer. We have a history and a background in pad printing and screen printing, but we already saw the opportunity in digital, so we started experimenting pretty early in this phase. And that has led us to the situation today where we are primarily focused on industrial single-pass print solutions for direct-to-shape printing. We work with a team of specialists. We have our own research and development department, and our specialists cover basically the entire field from pre-press, print process, mechanical engineering, software, everything related to provide the best solutions. And you can find our printers, or we are serving a global market, so our printers can be found from the United States, Asia, Europe, and also in the Middle East. Just a few examples of the markets we are active in and the products we are printing. Medical industry is important. This is an example of an inhalator for asthma patients that we can print, but we also print on pill boxes or medical sample trays that are used in laboratories. Automotive industry, a little hard to see here, I think, but this is a brake pad being printed with logos and information. And more recently, we are now working with a customer to start printing on interior parts for decoration of cars. Consumer products, Philips is one of our larger customers. The shaving equipment division, it's decorative printing and also printing the logos. And it's interesting to tell that this division is completely going to move away from pad printing and move everything to the digital spectrum. Also consumer product, but tooling industry, saw blades, S&A in Sweden is already running 2 of our machines, but also consumables in the tool industry like grinding discs and other equipment is within our scope. And then more recently, the electronics industry, electronic components, numbering, color coding, labeling, all kinds of stuff they like to do. We are now starting with this and have the first customer in this area, and we expect this to grow pretty big in the coming years. And typically the printers are all used to do informative printing, branding, logos, and of course also decorative printing. So it's for all kinds of applications or all together. But the market of direct-to-shape or direct-to-object printing is a difficult one. I think a lot of us see the expectations, and I think it's one of the bigger promises in the future of printing. But we also see a lot of companies coming and going in this market and struggling how to do it and what to do. And in our experience, it all has to do with the complexity. The variations in product characteristics require you really to have a lot of knowledge in a lot of areas and a lot of fields to be able to provide your customer with an optimum solution for what they need. Because every customer has, of course, their own product or products with a different shape, different materials. They have different requirements for adhesion and print quality. And that is all print related, but in their facilities, you know, product handling, how do you get the products on and off the printer, and how do you integrate a print solution within their production facility, are questions you also get from these customers. So for us, being a system supplier, it's really important that we have at least some knowledge in every field and every aspect of digital printing. And to start with prepress, we typically use standard or traditional tools, but we do not necessarily use them in a traditional way. If you want to do colors on non-absorbic materials and plastics, it's really important that you have full control of your drop level mixing. You want to be able to play with this because the results are non-traditional. You need to be able to tweak and adjust it to the point where the customer is satisfied with the results. Print process, of course, needs to be configured and designed for every customer. So you need expertise in pre-treatment systems, print heads, inks, curing systems, and how they all combine and work together. And more recently, since a year, 1.5 years, we actually also started to configure and reformulate inks and primers ourselves, because we see that gives us the opportunity to really make it to a successful solution for the customer. Because not always everything that you need is you can buy it in the market, or it might be effective 80%, but the customer needs 100%. And being able to tweak and tune this last 20% is what is bringing us success at the moment. And of course, industrialization. You can know all about printing, but if you are changing the print process for each customer, and if you have to deal with different objects and different shapes for each customer, you need a flexible print platform. You need a print platform that is easily adaptable to the needs of this customer. And as I said, integration within the production line, handling systems, is a big part in that. And then I'm not even speaking about Industry 4, because, which is all about data sharing and smart production. We now have customers who are building a web shop, a web portal basically, where their customers can customize the products they can buy. So for instance, and as an example, the electronics manufacturer, they are building a web portal where customers can configure the products with their own codes, with their own numbering, with their own color coding system, and then place the order of the components to have their personalized products. What they eventually want is that order directly goes to our machine, is being lined up in the production queue and automatically printed. Sounds fantastic, and once it all works, it is fantastic, but making it all work is the big challenge. But that's the question that is receiving us, so we need to deal with these questions anyway. With that all in mind, I would like to show you one of our customer examples that we have been working on lately, and I think that explains the complexity of all of this. And for that example, I go back to the beginning of the COVID pandemic. It started with a question coming in for a customer in the United States that asked us, can you create a printer to print on 7,500 latex gloves per hour? And I'm talking about, yeah, you all know the disposable latex gloves, and you can imagine in the COVID period, this was a big thing. So you also can imagine we weren't that enthusiastic immediately, because it's a difficult product to have adhesion on, and how do you deal with the product? But we didn't have anywhere to go anyway, so we thought, okay, let's just give it a shot and see where we end up. So we started experimenting, we started testing different primers, different inks, and see where we ended up. But nothing really worked, at least not till the point where the customer was satisfied with the result. So we were about to give up until we said, okay, we're going to try one last thing. We're going to design our own primer and see if we can create a primer layer that has adhesion and stretchability. And if that works, then we will see if we can build up the rest of the ink system. And once we started doing that, we were able to succeed pretty quickly. Because we received an inked primer system that has adhesion, and after that we continued with modifying the inks, the CMYK, And we managed to get it work, to get a UV ink that has a decent print quality on latex gloves, can be stretched in multiple directions, and doesn't come off. But that, of course, was only half of the problem, because when you buy gloves, you get them in a box, and they are in a box like this, you know. And if you take them out, they look like this, which is not really a useful product to deal with and to handle. So again, we accepted the challenge, and we started to think, okay, how can we handle the products, and how can we have these products through our single pass printer in high volume, of course. So we needed to talk to the supplier, not only to our customer, but to the customer supplier, because, you know, they are producing the gloves, they are putting them in boxes like this. So if we wanted to change that, you know, that was the point where we started. So we were talking to the supplier, how does your production process look like? How do they come off your production line? Because they probably look much nicer if you take them off the production line than when you are putting them in a box. And we managed to make a change in their delivery to put them nicely in a box in staples next to each other, because that for us was a starting point to be able to handle them at all. And I'm now going to make a step to the end result, because where we ended up with. I'm going to show a video in a minute, but just to give you an overview, this is the entire machine that we built to print on gloves. There are already 2 machines standing in the United States. The smaller machine in front here is our digital printer. It's a DG7. It's a single pass printer that uses a carrier system where you put the products on. The carriers go over a transport system inside the printer. Inside the printer there's pre-treatment, ink heads and curing system. When it comes out, it goes back to the larger machine over there, and the larger machine is all about handling. So products are unloaded, reloaded again on the carriers, and then they come back into the printer. And on the handling side, that looks like this. I'll be zooming out. If the video is running, yeah. So what you will see here is 4 individual robot stations, and you have a tray loading system. So in the tray loading system, operators can fill the machine with boxes with gloves. The boxes are being moved over to the robot. Here you can see a picker that picks 2 gloves out of the box, places them on a vacuum table to open them up. There's a SCARA robot inserting 2 fingers inside the glove, opening it up. And in the back, you can see the more detail later on, there are carriers moving where the gloves can be put on the carrier. There's 4 systems just to meet the capacity, because as you can imagine, you need time to pick gloves and handle them. Once the gloves are on the carriers, they go to the single pass printer, which is on the other side. Through the window you can see them coming out. And here they enter the handling unit again. You can see that they are printed, they have the logos on there. Gloves are ejected and fall down onto a left and right conveyor, because after you print them, of course, they have a left hand and a right hand side. And that is fully continuous. So the carriers are not stopping, they keep running. It's fully automated. The only thing the operator needs to do is make sure that you keep filling it with boxes of gloves. And there's a stretching mechanism on the carriers to make them nice and flat and be sure that we have a good print result. And I think this shows the potential and the complexity of the world we are operating in, because now, of course, a glove is a very difficult product, but even if you're talking about the shapes that I showed you earlier, you know, each and every time you have to see how do we get them effectively to the printer, how do we get them out and process them in a further direction. And this is how far you can go, actually. You can do it fully automated, you can load them manually, but less and less customers are going to do that. And the printer itself, I'm not going into details about that right now, but it's also fully configurable. So in the latest version we have a cassette system, so we can place in multiple heads, more heads. We can even expand the machine while it has already been delivered, because if this customer for some reason decides later on that they want to buy gloves from a different supplier and that glove might have some other properties, we might need to change anything or add an extra color, and that's all possible within the print platform. And also this customer in the future wants to use a web shop to take the orders and start to print the orders in small batches. But that's not yet the case right now. So I think that shows a little bit what we do.